Okay, before I ready up, everybody, I remembered. Huzzah, I did it. We're gonna listen to this. This might make the stream a snooze fest for other people. I'm so sorry. But I know there are streamers in here that have their numbers being cucked right now. This was his response to people being like, raids aren't sticking and viewers are shit. All right?
Yeah, or twisted, and then most people hear that, not what we said, you know? And then that becomes fact. So for example, let's use a concrete example when we said, in our view body, there's always been something that if you have, let's say 20 streams open, that we're not counting those 20 streams. Because
the number is not 2. You can lurk for more people than that. That's important.
That people use, that whenever one of their following channels goes live, they open a browser window to watch the channel. And so people can have 20, 30, 40 browser windows open, right? Now people said, which is not the truth, they said, oh, if you have 2, it doesn't get counted. It's actually not true, it's not what it said. We can't say the exact number. If we say the exact number, then everyone who's trying to, manipulate the view count will use that. And this is one of the challenges. There is a very, and I know the part of the challenge here is, there are all these people who are not trying to manipulate the view count. But there are other people who absolutely are trying to manipulate the view count, okay? And if we are super transparent about what we do to combat view bombing, then we're just giving a recipe to all the people that are very active spending money to manipulate the view count. Now, I will tell you, we made an update last week, and I don't know.
I'm not seeing it, bitch. I'm here.
That is, we talk about transparency. And I'll use this example. I'll say this to this group, but saying this in a blog post doesn't work because so many people get worked up as we talk about UBot. We did make an update. I'm trying to remember the last week before that tweaks some of the stuff we've been doing with UBot. Okay, especially for smaller and mid-sized creators to adjust some of what had been done. Okay. It is tricky to figure out what something is, when something is a viewbot versus a legitimate person, right? And so, I do think as the team tries to hone that, the feedback has been helpful, and we did make an update, okay? But if we're super transparent about it, then we might as well just give up and let the viewbots run the site.
I do get that. I do understand the view-buying thing. The main issue I was seeing that a lot of people were running into was they would have their usuals there. This is what I was going through. I had my usuals there, and it's like, I'm not saying I'm a large streamer. I'm not saying I'm maybe a little small streamer. I was averaging about 80, and one day for almost a week in a row, it's just 40 people there. And I haven't been that low since I was started. I was told I was crazy by a couple people who...
Literally 2022 numbers right now.
I drive my car every day. I know that ticking sound is not right. And it's hard for someone to get in my car and tell me that that ticking sound is supposed to be there. It's not there, especially when I know that's not right. Another issue that was arising that I noticed this happened last week, for some reason the raids aren't sticking. And I can't give you a reason why, but I know I'll be sitting at one number, I get rated with that number, and I'm still sitting there. And it never sticks. It's like, and I feel bad because I genuinely, I love it when people raid. I love good signs of a community that supports each other. But it feels so empty when you can't share your community because they're not being seen. And it just feels, it feels awful.
Let's do it. Feel free to reach out to me in terms of the raids thing. Because one of the things that is challenging is I'll use the example that, people speaking up is helpful to figuring out when.
Hey yo, I'm so rich. My homies take showers for me.
Right.
Sorry. Okay. All right. We are halfway through this video. I don't know if you guys caught that he said that they did an update last week. As in, they are trying to argue that they have made improvements within the last week, and we all didn't notice because we're all TwitchCon. I'm back home, and not to be this person, but we are at 53 but actually 113. That's pretty tough. That's pretty tough. Okay, so anyway, there's more, so let's just listen.
Maybe something isn't going right in terms of the VBOT detection or something like that. Let's take the prime stuff, because the challenge is we are in this constant battle, actually, between people trying to defraud and not, and I completely, like, there is no way to fight that battle where you never get it wrong, unfortunately. I wish the way it worked is you never get it wrong, okay? And speaking up helps us try to figure out when we may have got it wrong. Unfortunately, when we fix that we got it wrong, it's often difficult to then shout from a, from a poster, oh, we got this wrong, let me tell you what we did and how we fixed it, okay? Anything, I'll tell you, like, there's tons of times I see stuff on Twitter where I'm like, I just want to respond. Anytime I respond on Twitter, it is just a mess, okay? Because that is the way the social world is going. And then often the people that I'm trying to communicate with don't hear it, okay? And so that is one reason why I try to stream. I try to answer questions on the stream so that I'm talking about it, because unfortunately Twitter is a bad medium to communicate these things.
So you say reach out to you, and I don't know how.
So sometimes we listen to Twitter. So for example, the issue, let's take for example the issue recently,
Do they?
We do have folks that are listening to Twitter as people are, talking about these issues, and then we also, of course, need to figure out when no, this is so. For example, I do think there's an issue where for small and medium creators, some of their views that were not view bots, right, were identified as such, and that's why we made the adjustment that we did last week, and we knew that because people were talking about it, right? So we do hear that, right?
Bro, I'm so done.
Adjust. In fact, I'll be interested to you when you go back to see if now it looks more, if things look. So we do hear that,
Important sentence.
right? And we do adjust. In fact, I'll be interested to you when you go back to see if now it looks more, if things look more normal, right? Because I think it should look more normal, okay? And oftentimes people like you that I think are honest in this and sincere, sometimes we get folks to talk to them directly and then we use them as individual examples. I can tell you, I had 2 streamers reach out to me that I use specifically as examples of this, because I went and looked at their history and I dug in myself, and then I said, no, look, I know for a fact this person is not, paying for view bots, and these are not, it is the fact that sometimes there are view bots roaming around that you may not be paying for, but they're still there, but I knew, and so that was helpful, okay? So let's keep moving, but feel free, I'd like to understand the rates issue. I know that our team has thought about it.
So the reason I recorded it like this is I have it on the table because I didn't want anyone in the recording that didn't want to be. But I also wanted proof that it's not it's not an AI video, or it's not not in the room where he said it. There is a little blip at the beginning where I'm like, okay, and then I put it back on the table. So the reason it's facing, the camera is facing up at the ceiling is so it's not just just black or whatever. Why are we starting a hype train? This is crazy. What are we doing right now? This is the response he gave to partners. I do not know what he gave to affiliates. I did not go to those Q&As. He had 3 on his schedule. This is the partner one, and this was day 1 of the convention. What he said to affiliates might have been better. It might have been worse. He might have perfected his answer, because the guy who asked this question did not ask a question and didn't yell, but wrote a fucking monologue for it. If you were confused, we are going over Dan Clancy's answer about viewers not counting. I recorded all of his response. We are almost to the end here, but I will go back a little because the juiciest thing just played. Okay, so this was the juicy part that hit right before you guys rated, so I'm gonna go back a little bit so we can hear it. Listen, because I was like, okay, let me just benefit of the doubt, let's check. And then we are still missing, oh good, we're missing over half now. Oh, that's nice. This was at 53 and then 113 before. And now we're at 124 and we're at 51. So that's like really cool and groovy. So anyway, this is where we're at with this. Let me shut the fuck up and play it.
It is the fact that sometimes there are view bots roaming around that you may not be paying for, but they're still there. But I knew, and so that was helpful. Okay, so let's keep moving. But like, feel free. I'd like to understand the rates issue. I know that our team has brought it up and been talking about that. And sometimes what I do is to push to make sure, because there is the fact that sometimes somebody has a bunch of view bots and the raid happens. But I'd love to push more on that issue.
How would I reach out to you?
You walk up to me afterwards.
Okay.
And that'll work.
All right.
And there are lots of folks that, know my Discord handle, and I'm pretty open about that. I can't accept everyone, but there are a lot of creators that I talk to, and I'm pretty open about sharing it when I can.
Hello, this is my first year being a...
Y'all are too funny about how I recorded this. Come on, y'all. I just wanted y'all to know that it was real, and I just thought it being in the room where it happens and not just like a voice memo was a better way to prove that. But anyway, so POV, you're a Cheeto. POV, you were left on the changing table again. POV, you're looking up out a hatch. Please. And there's just a fucking Michaela there. So for those that are not on streamer Twitter, you wouldn't know. Or if you're on YouTube streamer Twitter, I don't know what the fuck y'all have on Twitter, but if you do have something. Basically, Twitch is not counting your viewers when you are streaming. Like, just straight up. They're just not. And they did this to combat bots, but now people are losing their actual lurkers specifically lurkers, because either if your stream cuts out and they last chatted before it cut out, they're not counting now. If they never come back and say hi, then they don't count. And that's always kind of been the case, but it's just like worse now. Like, if a lurker is actively watching and never chatted or interacted, then they're not being counted. So when he says bot raids, he means people who raided that have bots attached to their raid. That's what he's more talking about. It's not fair for a lot of people, though. Everyone's getting over by this now. So, W. Does that include chatbots? What part? They're not talking about... So, okay, I'll show you something really quick. If you weren't aware of this, if you weren't privy to this, I'm going to show you something. And unless it's magically fixed itself in the last couple of seconds, which I doubt it has, we are currently... I'll scroll down so we don't get like the infinite screen. If you felt discouraged, don't, about your stream. This is how many people are here, according to Twitch. This is how many people are here, according to my view count. Now, listen, your view count is never right, but I've seen it get very damn close to my friends that have incredibly active streams. So if you can get chat to bark for you, or hey chat, say one real quick, or hey chat, clap if you can hear me type shit in chat, and they do it, or if they're just having a conversation and it's a very chatty stream, and that's just like the vibe of the stream. Their viewer to sidebar number will match a lot better than it currently is for everyone else. And I don't have one of those chats. That's fine, but I don't. And so, people with more lurkers are getting hurt a lot more. A lot of those people being VTubers, just because of the nature of what like VTubing is like. But it's not all VTubers. I'm getting fucked with it. So the number is not right, because the number is including Stream Elements, Nightbot, Frosty Tools, whatever, shit like that, like Chatterino, those things. But it's also counting people that always have your shit open so that they get like the stream points or whatever. So I've got 4 friends, and I know who they are. I have 4 friends who are always in my stream. You could check this number for yourself, by the way. If you're not live on any random day, go to your viewers list, and you'll see, usually, that it is not at 0. There's always a couple of little bots or friends that just, like, have you open all the time. I know I have 4 of those people. Plus, I use Stream Elements, Frosty Tools, and I think those are all the bots I use. So, for me, my number, in theory, should be off by about 6 people. Oh, I guess in myself, so 7. I should be off by about 7. I am off by 50%. I am literally off by double. I have 63 people watching, but we're actually at 120 people. I don't use Stream Elements 60 times or whatever the fuck.